So I have this sneaking suspicion that Samsung is developing its own console system, and this is coming from what we've been seeing at the Xbox showcase as it dominated with the advertisements it gave out related to game-related products coming from Samsung Electronics. And I think this is an interesting idea that I had because just the amount of circumstantial evidence gathering that Samsung is really trying to enter this market with a lot of incentives guiding it into this direction. I think just seeing some of the elements I've seen with the commercials at the Xbox showcase showing Samsung interested with the dynamic of getting into the gaming industry. We see with the Samsung Gaming Hub. Of course, we see a bunch of other companies doing similar things like Netflix, like Google, and a multitude of other corporations are trying to do a similar thing. But I think with Samsung, there is an understanding that they may be able to get out ahead and establish something that is monstrously profitable, especially with a little help from the Korean government. If you know anything about the Korean government, has a history of helping different parts of the cultural industry within Korea, and you can see this with their overall investment into K-pop, building it into this global sensation that kind of took over the pop industry across the whole world. And I think their investment is something that people really don't understand or know about, that kind of put K-pop in the map because it invested in multitude of record companies to enhance the product that they're working on. And I think that's the thing we saw with K-pop over time, that it built itself into this global sensation because it was the investment that came from the government itself. And I think you can see this starting to occur with the video game industry, where we're hearing South Korea is trying to focus on growing the console gaming industry in a bold 5-year plan. And I think this may include Samsung itself and other electronic companies that may be interested in getting into the gaming industry. And I think that's why we're seeing the Samsung Gaming Hub come up. People are maybe speculating that just is a small entry to get government funding, but I think they're going to be encouraged to do more in the video gaming industry, especially as the games development in Korea increases and gets more popular across the world. I see this as a point of entry where Samsung can really make a profit if they establish a console gaming hardware to rival the PS5, because it is an open market right now. You see what's happening with Xbox and their terrible release schedule of video games and the overall decline of the Xbox itself, because they're not interested in developing console games. They want to go to the streaming cloud platform, the subscription platform, thinking that is the future, but that is obviously not the case with its lag in sales and overall uninterest in the games that they're producing. And this is resulting in the decline of the Xbox itself and the games associated with the Xbox. And I see this as an opening for another console system to come up and take up its space. And Samsung is probably the best position to do so. And you can see this with a multitude of games that are popping out from Korea. You have Stellar Blade, the #1 game in the world for at least a month or so, that caught the attention of the Western games development sphere by storm, where everyone was talking about this game, whether controversy or not. People played this game, they loved it, and it brought an amount of attention to Korea, where the Korean government itself understood, okay, this is part of our culture that we can develop. And I think that's what we're seeing with Stellar Blade right now. Establish a cultural point of impact that the government understands now they can take advantage of, and now they're putting their investments towards this area. And you can see this with other games that have come out, like The First Descendant, that came out to record numbers, topping out at almost 250,000 players engaging in a new Korean game just based on the gameplay and the visuals itself. So this is showing the tremendous potential that Samsung and Korea developing a console system may have around the whole world. And this is not only limited to The First Descendant. There are a bunch of other Korean titles like this that are getting interest from the gamers themselves. You see this with a Sony showcase of the games that they're working on in the state of play. And you can see that games that are coming from Korea are grabbing the attention of a wider audience across the world. And it seems like the government itself, the Korean government, understands that this is the case, and this is a chance to capitalize on this interest. And they're not holding back. They already came up with a 5-year plan of investing into this market. And I think this is the case where I say maybe we're going to get a development in that within that 5-year plan of a console to come out to compete with Sony in this next generation push. Xbox is already back down. Nintendo Switch is always doing its own thing. So there's no competition for Sony PS5. And I think that's the thing that I'm scared about with this next generation, since Xbox kind of backed down. And we always know PC is kind of a different culture than the console culture. So it is PS5 or Nintendo, and these are non-competing entities. And I think we need something that rivals the PS5. And I think Samsung is the only company that has the money and energy and research and development and developers themselves that can pull off something technically superior than what we're seeing from the PS5. And I think that's what I'm hoping for with some of the games that are being produced already within Korea. And you can see it with some of their plans, kind of set out what they're orienting the government to do with their perspective on this console gaming market they want to fund and support. And their points are kind of well established, where South Korea is unveiling a plan to boost its share in the global console gaming market. That is the title of the report. They want to boost its presence in the console gaming market. Specifically, it said console gaming market, and the efforts include supporting local companies to develop blockbuster titles, and the country commits significant financial support to various content industries. And it is going to focus on the gaming industry heavily and support it in the way that it did the K-pop industry. And I think this is a new set of goals that we're seeing within Korea to establish itself as a global dominant market for entertainment, not just K-pop, not just now with the K-dramas that are kind of overshadowing long story TV shows from America. And I think now we're seeing this happen in the video game industry, where they're trying to take over all points of entertainment. I think they're doing a successful job of it. And I think them entering the console gaming space would be earth-shattering, because Xbox is leaning into political activism, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. It's leaning into these elements that are not attractive to gamers, while Korea is doing the opposite. It's leaning to the old school elements that attract gamers, which is gameplay and attractive and appealing characters. And you're seeing this kind of dichotomy between these two parts of the game industry. And I think people are leaning towards Korea already. If they come up with their own game console that is rivaling these established morals within the Western games development sphere, people would rally behind it, and PS5 would be pushed to support it as well, because that's where the fans are going. And I think this is the best opportunity for Samsung to take up this mantle and invest into this part of this industry, producing something that is going to be a juggernaut that pushes Sony to actually compete within this gaming market. And this is what my hope is to happen with this investment from the government. Of course, government investment is not always ideal, but I think this is okay, because Korea has a track record of investing into these cultural points and making them the highest quality possible. We saw that with K-pop, we see this with K-dramas, and I just think those examples shine really through, especially when you compare current K-dramas to the recent Hollywood slop. There's such a stark difference between the quality that it's embarrassing for Hollywood to even compete with K-dramas now. And I think that's the thing that I'm seeing from Korea, and I think we'll see something similar within the gaming industry if they do get involved with it. And I'm looking forward to see what they do. South Korea is interested in setting up startups and letting them shine in the gaming industry, and I think they really do mean it, and they mean by quality, and not just what you look like or your political mindset is. This is about quality, and I think Korea is focused on quality of everything, and you see that happening with a lot of the products from Korea. And I'm excited to see if they do this. Of course, this is just my speculation, my wishful thinking, but there's enough seeds within this idea that I think it may sprout and actually occur within the next 5 years. So keep your eyes open for an announcement from Samsung. Maybe another player, LG, another company might come out, but I think we're going to see a console from Korea very soon, and maybe even China at that, because China is supporting the game industry in a similar way. So we're going to get new consoles, and Xbox kind of opened that field by backing down with the Xbox, and I'm excited to see what comes out afterwards. So you leave your comments, tell me what you think. Do you think a new console is going to come out from Korea or China? I think yes, but if you disagree, leave a comment. I'd like to hear your thoughts. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.